so in the second part of 10.5, we are still going to be completing the square. But if you look at that problem, there's something different than all the other problems that we've done so far. Bailey? There's a 2 in front. There wasn't ever a number there before, right? So in the other problems, we would say that a was equal to 1 because it was like a 1x squared instead of a 2x squared. So in all the problems that we're going to do today, a is not going to be equal to 1. And these really aren't any harder. It just adds one more step. So our new step is going to be to divide every term by a. So a in this case is 2. I'm going to divide every single part by 2. Now it's just like the problems from yesterday. Okay, so you guys go ahead and complete the square. Solve by completing the square. So the first thing I did was add my old c over. I added the 4 over, added a new c on, which was 25. I'm going to factor x plus 5 and x plus 5, x plus 5 squared, and solve. Last step is to subtract 5 from both sides. Okay, again, this is fine as your answer. You can leave it like that. And the reason I can leave it like that is 29 isn't a perfect square. Or I can plug it in. And this is what you're going to need to do in order to check the answers on your homework, because your book is giving it to you in a rounded version. So they're going to give 0.38 or 0.39 here. 0.39, right? Because we're rounding up to the nearest hundredth. And then -5 minus. And so that one's going to be a -10.39. Okay, questions on that one? We're going to do one more. Now this one's kind of funny because we have x's on both sides. What are your thoughts? What would you do first? You could divide by 3, right? Yeah, it could be one first step. What else could you do first? Riley? You could combine your like terms together. Yep. Okay, so it really doesn't matter. You could divide by 3 first, or you could combine your like terms first. I like to combine my like terms together first, but it's not going to change your answer if you do it in the opposite order. So I would move my 6x over right away. Okay, so then let's go with Celeste's idea from there. Let's divide by a. Divide by our 3. Now, 11/3, obviously not a whole number. Is it a terminating decimal? Does it stop if you plug it into your calculator? No. So if we can't write out the whole number, that means we're rounding. And if we round too early, and too early would be before the last step, we're going to end up with the wrong answer at the end. It's going to be off by just a little bit. So let's leave it as a fraction instead of changing it into a decimal. 11 thirds. Okay, what would be our next step? Add 11 thirds. Yep. Add your new C value on. In this case, b divided by 2 is going to be negative 12 divided by 2 squared, so 36. Okay, now, again, if you add these two together using your calculator, you're going to get an ugly decimal that we don't want to round. So how do we get around that? Well, some of you might be able to do this in your head and rewrite it as a fraction. If you can't, there's an easy way to do this. 11 thirds plus 36. Do this with me. Okay, there's our ugly decimal that we don't want to write down on our paper. So what our calculator will do for us, and some of you maybe already know this, is change it back to a fraction. If you go to math, and the very first option there is fraction, it's going to take your answer and turn it into a fraction if we press enter again. Okay, these two together we could write as 119 over 3. You guys finish the problem. Okay, factor if you didn't already, x minus 6, so x minus 6 squared. Square root of both sides, positive and negative, and then add your 6 over, okay? You're welcome to leave your answer like that, or to check in the book, you're going to need to plug it in. And you do want to make sure you know how to plug it into your calculator, even if you're leaving your answer in exact form. You want to be able to check the book answer and know that your answer is the same. Okay, who has questions?